People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in each and every time. I hope you lot are good. I hope you lot are blessed. Do me a favor on entry, smash the like button, get the creative juices flowing as well, and comment any thoughts you have throughout the course of this video. And appreciative of having you lot tuned in. Hope you're enjoying your morning, afternoon, evening, or of course night. Now, again, I'm sure at the time of this video coming out, you've got plenty of Arsenal, Newcastle thoughts. Let me know your opinions on the game. Also, make sure your notification bells are on. You know we got Arsenal shows, reactions, tactical analysis, all of that good stuff to come, people. So yeah, but let's see what's going on with Arsenal in terms of the latest news, views, gossip, rumors, headlines, etc. Again, let me know your thoughts throughout. Smash the like button. Let's begin now. Mika Biereth, who was doing all right in Scotland, his loan move at Motherwell got cancelled, and then it was seen as the next step for his development was to go to Austria and play for Stuttgart, where apparently they were tracking him since the days in Arsenal's under-21s, and he's got a couple of goals in the Conference League. He's putting himself in the shop window. You never know. We all want to see these boys develop, and who doesn't like an academy player coming through the system and things of that nature? But at the same time, is it unrealistic for him to make it at the club? No, but if you do the maths, you've got Kai Havertz and Trossard who can play as false nines. Obviously, you've got Gabriel Jesus. Arsenal are earmarked of bringing in a striker, and Eddie Nketiah's future is going to be due to subject of speculation throughout now and the weeks and stuff like that. But they're all ahead of Mika Biereth in the pecking order. Yes, depending on how the variables shift, that could present an opportunity. At the end of the day, football's a funny old game of opinions. So it could be as simple as Mikel Arteta likes him, he's going to give him an opportunity. But the opportunities there are slim, and I can't say there's been many opportunities afforded to Lenders. I'm not criticizing Mikel Arteta, but that's a fact. And obviously, when Saka's a bit of a poor example, because he's one of them players, regardless of what Arsenal's team looked like, he was always going to come through. But I think one thing that's to a point benefited Saka, Emil Smith-Rowe. I know he didn't come from Hayland, but Martinelli and Nketiah and Nelson has been for years. Arsenal Football Club was not in the image us fans would like. And the better we get, the more competitive we're at. There's going to be better players brought in, or more experienced players brought in, and big money signings, really and truly. So young players might have to look for pastures new. But apparently Stuttgart are keen to sign Mika Biereth on a permanent basis, which could be good. If you can't progress through the first team, sell these players for a profit, put that money into other areas of the club where we keep it moving. And, at the end of the day, he's playing European League football. He's playing in the professional game, doing what he's designed to do. The 21-year-old has hit the ground running in Austria, people. Arsenal striker Mika Biereth has impressed Stuttgart so much so that the Austrian club want to make his loan move permanent this summer. Biereth joined Stuttgart in January after having his previous loan spell at Motherwell cut short. Now, if you lot remember, young Arthur Okonkwo went over to Austria as well last season. The 21-year-old has hit the ground running in Austria by scoring twice in his first 4 games. So that's great. As you know, football is like seasons. Young players are very volatile. So if he's not necessarily scoring, it doesn't mean he's playing good or bad, But strikers, goals pay your bills, essentially. So that's good. But obviously at 21, there's a lot of volatility. There will be periods where he's scoring and not scoring, people. Stuttgart are now hoping they can keep hold of the striker, although their loan deal has no option to buy clause in it. So maybe that's a bit smart with Arsenal, if he puts himself in the shop window to the point where Stuttgart or a couple Austrian clubs are interested in him, maybe Scottish teams after seeing what he's doing, maybe Championship teams. Ultimately, if he doesn't have a future at Arsenal Football Club, he could be sold on, people. Allegedly, the sporting director of Stuttgart, Andreas Streeker, forgive me for mispronunciation, has said, it's been a really good start. He arrived late to our training camp in Turkey, but he has still scored in his very first training match. He has been well received by his teammates, and my impression is that he's happy to be here, even though he obviously lacks some understanding of our playing style. It's completely normal for it to be like this, and we are very happy with Mika so far. Arsenal is not willing to include an option to buy, but nevertheless, we'll still explore the possibility of keeping Mika longer than the summer. Not sure in his contract, but that could also mean as well, Arsenal might think he can make the grade here. Again, judging a 21-year-old striker where they tend to peak late, you just never know, people. Right now, we're just focusing on having a really skilled attacker that we can benefit from in the current half of the season. What happens next time will tell. He was already on our radar when he played for Arsenal's under-21 team. Since then, he has been on loan in both Holland and Scotland. So he's been on loan in Austria, Scotland and Holland. As a 21-year-old, that shows that you're very mature and you can adapt to a lot of leagues. From a lifestyle point of view, I don't know him. I can't comment on him. But you know, he's 21 years of age. Going to another country in some cases can be quite daunting. So it shows there's, you know, a relative adaptability being outside your comfort zone, people. I'm sure he's away from his friends. I don't know if the man has a girlfriend, and if he does, did she go up there with him? And I always say, for these young players, I believe, you know, when you're young, it's the best time to make these moves, because obviously if he was 31, you're more likely to be more settled in your club and in whatever country you're in and whatever city you're in. Obviously you might have a wife and kids, and the kids are in school and things like that. Obviously the nature of the business, footballers, regardless of if they're 20 or 30, family or not, you need to be able to drop things at a drop of a hat. How many times do you hear players, you know, are booking a holiday, they've been called up to the international teams for whatever country they play for, and then they have to cancel it? This is the nature of the business, but you get the point, really. And again, good or bad, all of these experiences, in my opinion, for someone like Mika and the rest of the players that have had loan experiences, this is better than staying in the under 21s, people. So yeah, big him up, people. We've been in continuous contact with his reps, and when our striker CD Jata, sorry, the cursor was there, got injured in January, we contacted Mika, and we are extremely happy that we could reach an agreement so quickly. So big him up. From one academy player to the other, young Aiden Heaven, people. Heaven, he's actually a real North Londoner as well. I think he's from Edmonton, so I'll always be supporting him. He was involved against Porto. I believe he was on the bench. He can play centre half as well as left back, really, and actually operate in central midfield. I really do like him. Apparently, he's attracting interest from Premier League clubs. The 17-year-old signed scholarship terms with Arsenal last summer, but is yet to sign a pro deal. Has he been offered one? Do Arsenal have a reluctance to offer him one? Is he, you know, concerned about potentially signing it with the long-term trajectory he wants of his career? I'm not sure. But what I would say, where Mika Biereth, Tyrese John-Jules, Charlie Patino over there at Swansea, the same goes for Sego Jr., you know, you look at Renell Waters and actually Koza Dewberry. I think they're at that point where I'm not saying leave Arsenal, because you could make it here, but I think you need to move away from the romance of being an academy boy and coming through at Hale End. The pathways there, but I think they're all at that stage now in their careers. You need to do what you can to get into the professional game, make inroads in that game, and ultimately cut a career. And, you know, for a number of names I've said there, it does feel, quote unquote, that the pathway is blocked, obviously because of the dynamics in the first team. For instance, if you're a central midfielder in Arsenal's academy, I'm not saying you shouldn't get an opportunity, but, you know, I and a lot of you lot smash the like button. People would like a central midfielder in the summer, or if it was me, even two. And whether we sign these players or not, it's a different story. But you've got Spanish international Zubamendi, for instance, 50 million, Brazilian international Premier League proven Douglas Luiz, 50, 60, 70, 80 million. Onana at Everton, who we've been linked with as well. When you've got, assuming any one or two or all three signed for the club, obviously 65 million Kai Havertz, 105 million Declan Rice, the captain Martin Odegaard, whether he stays or not, you've got Smith Rowe, you've got Fabio Vieira, you've got players that can play and operate in central midfield. He hasn't played there organically, but even Zinchenko. So if you look at that as a young player, it's not that you're going to not get minutes, but are you necessarily going to get the minutes you would like? Are you necessarily going to get that? These are the dynamics that goes against every Premier League team or every Premier League young academy player. That's why I always say it's a blessing that some players have progressed to the first team. But apparently, people, you know, he travelled to Porto with the boys. He operates best in central midfield, not sure on that, but he has also been training at centre-back and left-back over the past few weeks. He's played left-back quite a few. You know, you would have seen him in the youth league. He's being tracked by Premier League clubs who have scouted him while playing at youth level for Arsenal. He was a big Arsenal fan growing up, but he joined West Ham when he was 8 and spent 4 years there. He was let go at the age of 12 and spent a few months with Chelsea on trial. Apparently, Chelsea did not keep him on, and he elected to join Arsenal after also attracting interest from Fulham. I mean, half of these players have been everywhere, man. You know, the vast majority of these Arsenal boys, even going back to Amari Hutchinson, they've all been at Chelsea. They've all been at a number of clubs. Sego Jr. was bought from Fulham, as was Jack Henry Francis as well. So that's nothing really to read into. He was part of the scholarship intake last summer, which included probably the creme de la creme of that crop, Miles Lewis-Skelly and Ethan Nweri, people. So we'll have to watch that one there. Moving on, never seen this guy before, but allegedly Arsenal, Man United and Spurs are all interested in signing Fenerbahce midfielder Sebastian Skazmanski. Forgive me for mispronunciation, people. No clue on this individual at all, if I'm completely honest with you. But apparently, Man United, Arsenal, and Spurs have all been in Turkey to see the 24-year-old in action. Now, being scouting a player, watching a player is very different from moving from a player, but it shows he's in the right, he's doing the right things, whatever he's doing. You can also add to the list of English clubs 2 Italian clubs in AC Milan and Inter Milan. This article has said, we understand, however, that this would be very difficult for the Serie A giants should a Premier League club come forward with an offer. And this article said he'd be perfect, pardon me, for Spurs, which would be a myth for us. Apparently, he has 12 goals and 14 assists for the Turkish Giants. Although the 24-year-old generally plays as a number 10, he has also featured as a winger and as a defensive midfielder, showing his versatility. So he can play in a number of roles, but what is he? I guess that's something we'll have to do our research on. Fenerbahce believe he has huge potential and believe he could play at the very highest level one day. He doesn't have a release clause in his contract, which runs until 2027, and allegedly Fenerbahce would only consider offers in the region of 30 million people for the Polish international. So we'll have to watch that one. The future of Aaron Ramsdale is one that is, I think we all know the inevitable, people, but it is one that speculation is still rampant. 1 minute is Chelsea, like yesterday, check out the video. Now it's Newcastle. Now, I don't know. I remember him being linked with Wolves, and I think the Wolves one could have been great for him because you go to Newcastle, you're going to have Nick Pope to contest with. You go to Chelsea, I don't know if Real Madrid are going to keep Kepa, people, but you'd have Kepa, you'd have Sanchez, and that young Petrovic has done well with the injuries as well. So you'd have 3 keepers, 4 including himself. I'm not sure on the pathway if you're going to get football. Don't get twisted. Chelsea's a big club, as is Newcastle. Exciting, quote unquote, projects like our football club. So it would make sense. Anything from 35 to 50 million for me is fair value for Ramsdale. Let me know your thoughts. So yeah, he's been linked with Newcastle. This is nothing new, but allegedly, given that David Raya has been the team's star player at the Emirates, bit overdoing it, but Ramsdale is expected to depart Arsenal at the end of the current campaign. Ahead of the summer transfer window, he was once again the subject of speculation, reports having first surfaced in January to Newcastle. Newcastle is thought to be the team most likely to recruit Ramsdale from Arsenal during the summer transfer season, according to Sports Lens. No clue on their credibility. They've also claimed Chelsea, who must find a goalkeeper before the 2024-25 season begins, will probably also be interested in the 25-year-old. At this point, though, Newcastle was seen as the favourites and Ramsdale was eager for a new beginning. Minutes are currency. He's been starved of them. Apparently, people, Barcelona are open to selling Arsenal and Tottenham target Raphinha to fund a move for Alphonso Davies. Some reports say they just need to sell players to get their project going. It hasn't worked out for Raphinha. He looked like a big fish in a small pond over at Leeds United. Looks out of place and out of sorts at Barcelona. I mean, form is temporary, class is permanent, and there's got to be a reason he was bought by Barcelona in the first place. But yeah, people, he's got 14 goals and 19 assists in 73 appearances. Now, for me, I wouldn't be against Raphinha at all, people, because Arteta wanted him. You look at Pedro Neto, Mudryk, and Raphinha. They're quote unquote all fairly explosive wingers. So that has been something Arteta is going for. But I think where you look at Mudryk, I think he can play on the left and the right. I think Pedro Neto can. 80 million is a bit of a myth, so that one's probably dead in the water as well. But you look at Raphinha, evidently he's a big man. He's a grown man. If you can play on the right, you can play on the left. But occasionally I've watched him on the left at Barcelona and he's terrible. Him on the right, that's not that Saka has any divine right to start week in, week out. But, if you're not better than Saka at this moment in time or looking like you're going to take his spot, it doesn't make sense for his wages and the outlay is probably going to happen. So I think this article is probably just leveraging the fact that we have an interest in Raphinha and we tried to sign him. Apparently, Spurs are in the mix. Chelsea have once upon a time been linked with him as well, people. So we'll have to see exactly what happens there. But, we're always going to get linked with wingers, strikers and central midfielders because those are 3 key areas that I believe Arsenal need to address, people. So I have to see. What's this? Okay, this is nothing to do with us. Jurgen Klopp, probably egg on the face of Curtis Jones, who said his manager invented the fist pumps. Jurgen Klopp said, I heard the discussions that Mikel Arteta over-celebrated the win against us. That definitely did not come from me. I couldn't give a... To be honest, I didn't invent fist pumps and I don't have copyright on it and I don't want it. Big up Jurgen Klopp because it's got nothing to do with him. His focus is Liverpool and achieving what they can achieve in his last season. But I mean, Jurgen Klopp, slyly he likes Arsenal, isn't he? He's always talking about Saka and Martinelli. He's defending Arteta now. Maybe in another world, he would have been Arsenal manager, people. That is clearly irrelevant to us. Again, Kenan Yildiz, who's doing quite well at Juventus, has been linked with Arsenal and Liverpool for the last few months. And with his form and with him taking the opportunities he's getting over in Italy, rumours are still there. Arsenal have reportedly seen their opening offer for Kenan Yildiz firmly rejected by Juventus, leaving sporting director Edu considering whether to raise his offer, and in the wake of a humiliating reply from the Italian giants. Not too sure on that, but the Turin outfit are vulnerable to sales of some of their prized assets amid claims they need to raise funds to balance their books and fall in line with FFP regulations. As a result, Juventus have seen a number of top stars linked with a move away from the Allianz Stadium. When did they start calling it that? And with a number of big name suitors. I mean, you know, Brennan, their centre-half's been linked with Man United. Vlahovic is always linked with a move away from the club. Chiesa's been linked with a move away, people. Rabiot's been linked with a move away, so that won't go anywhere. Apparently, Arsenal are trying to get a deal done for this individual in the region of 40 million euros, which equates to 34.1 million quid. I don't think Juventus will let him go anytime soon. He does look fairly exciting, people. As you can see there, completely off topic, but 80 million for Onana is crazy. You know, 80 million for Onana, 80 million for Pedro Neto. You know, we know the market's been a bit inflated, and I don't think there's an alignment between quality and fee anymore. It's what you can negotiate. Clubs abroad know the Premier League's got money. Premier League clubs know the team's got money, you know. So unless you don't manage your club right and get into that FFP and that profit and sustainability issues, then I think it's business as usual. Apparently, however, not all is lost for Arsenal. Toto Sport has claimed an increased offer and potentially nearer to 60 million euros, 51.2 million in pounds mark would give Juventus a serious headache. So yeah, but he is contracted until 2027. So there's a massive decision to make there. Apparently, Jeremy Frimpong, who's been linked with Arsenal, Liverpool, and Man United, is keen on a move to Liverpool to potentially follow Xabi Alonso over there, people. Not quite sure if that's going to happen. Apparently, he's got a release clause of 40 million euros, which becomes active in the summer. So I'm sure a lot of people will take a chance on the former Manchester City and Celtic player. Romano has announced two new deals at Arsenal, probably without reading this. I bet it says Benjamin White and Tomiyasu. In fact, it does. Both Benjamin White and Tomiyasu, two valued members of the squad, are close to securing new contracts. In the case of the Japan international, only the formalities need to be completed, but there is just a little more work to do with regards to the former Brighton star. Romano said Tomiyasu's new contract with Arsenal is done. He's 100% extending his contract with Arsenal, so it's just about finding the right moment to sign the contract and make an announcement, but it's done. It's an important deal for Arsenal as well because important Italian clubs showed an interest in Tomiyasu in January. He was excellent at Bologna before Arsenal signed him, so there was interest from Serie A, but from Arteta it was a straight no because he's very happy with him. For Ben White, the contract is not done yet, but it's very advanced. Talks have gone well since October and the player is happy at Arsenal, so it's just a matter of weeks or maybe months and then it will be completed. Now, if I'm Benjamin White with my form, and I actually feel Benjamin White has now become Arsenal's most underrated player. I think it was Gabriel at the start of the season. People are now starting to give him his flowers. I wouldn't say Odegaard's ever been that, but I think people are seeing what it is. And I think Benjamin White, and you keep hearing me say squad, you need a squad. If you're not going to play week in, week out, as you can see with injuries and a very condensed and congested fixture calendar list and shifting team dynamics and stuff, you need a squad. And Benjamin White, I think every Arsenal fan can agree that he is one of the most underrated players at Arsenal. He doesn't get enough flowers. You know, he does the inverted stuff, can play as a traditional fullback. You know, one of our most durable players. You know, a lot of people weren't keen on him and Aaron Ramsdale focusing on Benjamin White. The very fact that, you know, nobody's saying he's not good enough and all of that sort of stuff says it all. And, you know, since he's moved to fullback, it's been a lot easier for him, you know, really and truly than versus, you know, the partnership with him and Gabriel. So, yeah, big up Benjamin White, man. It's nice to see that we've done that. It's nice to know the club is keeping it ticking with signing new deals and stuff. I'm tired of the Osimhen stuff, but nonetheless, people, allegedly Osimhen still being linked with Arsenal. We'll have to see. Apparently, Football London has said, you know, Chelsea are understood to also be interested in him, people. He would cost around 100 million. We know that with the release clause. Football.London says Osimhen would be a fantastic signing for the Gunners, though you do wonder if recent performances have changed their minds of many regarding whether Arsenal really need to be focusing their efforts on a new central forward. There is no disputing Osimhen would improve the team, but will the club choose to prioritize other areas? We're getting into that trap again. We need to marry the fact of we have got goals spread around the team. We have got Gabriel Jesus. We need a striker that can get us, as a minimum, that 20 league goal kind of mark for me. And we need to address central midfield and maybe bring in another wide man on top of everything else Mikel Arteta needs to do. Smash the like button. You'd imagine, you know, as I said, striker, winger, central midfielder. After that, of equal importance, you need to look at a backup goalie, depending on what happens with Aaron Ramsdale, where it looks probable, people, that he departs the club. So, yeah, that's where that is concerned, people. We've gone over young Aiden. Arsenal to receive a helping hand for Pedro Neto from Saudi Arabia. What does this mean? 80 million. I mean, if they're going to drop us some money, fair enough. As I said, Osimhen has David Ornstein has spoken previously of Arsenal's interest in Pedro Neto. Apparently, there's now concerns over his injury record, people. And David Ornstein also came out and said Wolves are asking for 80 million. Maybe that's just the initial hardball approach. And as the market goes on, whoever gets Pedro Neto probably won't pay 80 million, or might even the package of the 80 million deal might be different. Been linked with Liverpool, been linked with Arsenal. Wouldn't actually rule out Manchester United personally. And he's actually been linked with Manchester City, which probably would be the front runners of all the names said there, people. So we'll have to see. I mean, not quite. Does anyone really care how this really looks at, people? According to Transfer Market, he's worth 42 million, people. I think Pedro Neto is great, but I think this is apples and oranges, really. Arsenal are set to sign Rangers wonder kid Alexander Smith. Apparently, he's a 15-year-old attacking midfielder, which has been tracked by Arsenal for some time, and the Gunners are set to offer a 6-figure compensation fee for his services. He's also played for Scotland and America at youth level and holds dual citizenship. I mean, is there any coincidence we poached a scout from Rangers in Phil Cohen, and we've been linked with, I forgot his name, but a young lad at Aberdeen. Now we're linked with this Rangers guy, so maybe we're tapping into his expertise and getting players through the door, especially because Brexit has made it harder for clubs. Arsenal, all these teams, we used to sign young players at 16 to 18 years of age. There's a lot of red tape, so maybe Scotland could be something. If you can find the next Tierney, Hickey, all of these guys, it's lit, really and truly. So yeah, big him up. No clue on if there's going to be anything there. We'll have to see. Apparently, Arsenal have been sent a clear message by the Wolves boss, Gary O'Neill, over Pedro Neto, who has 11 assists and 3 goals in 19 appearances in all comps this season. What a campaign the 23-year-old's having. O'Neill said, the good news on the player front is that we sold some last summer. We didn't sign many. We didn't spend anything in January. So financially, we're in a place where we don't need to lose our best players. We don't need to lose any players. That puts us in a better place than we were last summer initially, so we can make our own decisions on what is best for the club rather than what we might need to be done. No one will be leaving if it doesn't suit us. So that's quite the hardball approach from their manager in relation to their star man or any of their star men. He's also said, obviously, if top clubs come calling for players and the price is right and we think it's better for Wolves, then it will always be a consideration. But when you're sat in this seat and you just need the team to win games, I want to keep all of them for as long as I can. Apparently, sources have told Football Transfers Wolves will expect a figure of around 80 million for the winger, people. So we'll have to see how everything plays out. Let me know your thoughts on everything we've discussed. As usual, big up you lot for tuning in. One love to everyone who's hit the like button in advance. Don't forget to hit the like button, people. Every comment, every engagement, this boosts the YouTube algorithm and helps us on our journey to 70,000 subscribers. It's crazy what we've started, which my channel started initially on an iPhone, people. So yeah, I hope you lot have enjoyed the content. Make sure your notification bells are on because there's always videos from the guy. Stay safe, stay blessed. I'm out. There's always that actual red flag. I think it's like